So we're officially back, boys and girls, males and females. We're out here. This video was recorded about 8 months ago, pre-pandemic, pre-election. But to be honest, most of the political viewpoints and general viewpoints are still related to what's going on in my own life right now. I still can say that I agree with myself, even though it was 8 months ago. I still agree with most of it, and it's a little bit of a cop out. But honestly, I'll probably make an updated video on this sooner or later because a lot of things have happened in the past couple months, election wise, Rona wise, and general election stuff too. And regardless, this is my little origin story. And if you guys enjoy it, there's plenty to come. Stories started all the way in 1776, 1984, and 2016, and so on and so forth. So this is just a general little ideology that I have based upon what I think and based upon what everyone else probably thinks or disagree with. And if you disagree, so be it. And if you agree, so be it. At the end of the day, this is just a moderately controversial man making moderately controversial statements in a world that's moderately extreme. So thank you guys and appreciate your views. Speaking with Gibberish, episode 1, starting in 3, 2, 1. Hello guys, this is your main host, the main head honcho himself, Gibberish Gabe, in here in the building. Right now, the hot topic we're going to be talking about is my political views and my political background. As you guys realize, I started this podcast as a way to speak my mind. Usually thinking about things on myself is really complex and very difficult, so I just decided something to just speak my mind, speak my thoughts, and try to be as educational to not only myself as a forethought, but to others, because everyone always asks, hey Gabe, what are your political views? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Or I might just seem like I'm thinking that I'm more important than I actually am. But topics like these are just always interesting to talk about and just have another sense of discussion. People nowadays, I feel, are scared to express their feelings, are scared to even talk. I've seen plenty of people that even are my friends not say things in classroom just because their views don't agree with necessarily everyone else's, which is pretty sad because this is America, land of the free, home of the brave. Your First Amendment is freedom of speech. Let your nuts drag, alright? Like my boy 6ix9ine is in jail for saying, but he said that, and I lived to that very degree. I mean, being pro amendment number 1 is really hard because you really have to just speak what you want and speak what you will. And the issue is not yourself. The issue is usually everyone else around you speaking gibberish. And this is why I come in. I am a gibberish speaking man myself, and I'll take credit where credit is due and credit where credit's due to me in a negative manner. I say stuff that are kind of out there, atypical, some might say. My viewpoints are very crazy. My viewpoints are very different from others. And as long as my viewpoints are backed up by facts and statistics, I think I'm alright. I think I'm fine. But sometimes people do contradict me and say things that are true, and I gotta change my viewpoint. Because if you're defending a viewpoint that's not gonna lead you forward, then you're just gonna be taking steps backwards. So that brings me up to my first number 1 topic is my views. I'll give you some background information. I grew up in an urban city, Union City, New Jersey, around hella Hispanic dudes. All of my boys are usually Caribbean, Honduran, or even Dominican. And I mean, Dominican, Caribbean, same tomato, and Cuban. My ex-girlfriend was Cuban too. And honestly, that opened up a whole different light because I'm a Salvadorian. My parents came from El Salvador there in the 1980s where the Civil War was breaking out. And they came here for a new life, a new beginning, a new stance on life. And they have their own little business. Those people are one of the hardest working individuals I've ever seen. So that's enough motivation for me to just get up and start up a podcast and just talk my feelings and see where it goes from there. Because I grew up seeing a city in an urban life, grew up around pretty liberal area, I would say. Most of us are pro-Democrat. None of my friends, or most of my friends in high school we didn't know much. Most kids in high school don't know much about politics, but most of us grew up thinking Obama was the greatest president of all time. My friends grew up saying Obama was the best president of all time. And looking upon someone like George W. Bush, which left a sour mouth in most of us as people that are against us. John McCain as someone that was against us. We had no viewpoints. We had no information about this because we just kids. Then Let's bring it down to 2016. 2016 election is very important because this is when Twitter was growing up. This is where Instagram was popping. This is where Facebook was dying out, but still has a very huge following. We hear this guy rambling in the streets. Bernie Sanders. He's fighting for us little kids. Like, yo, we're 18, 19, 17 years old, and we're hearing this old man talking about free college, legalize marijuana, fight the establishment. Wall Street is the number one enemy. The rich have been taking advantage of us. And we're like, wow, this guy is speaking languages. And then to the right of us, we hear Donald Trump. We had no clue what Donald Trump would entail. Not back then. We took him as a joke. We took the whole Republican Party as a joke. And most of us didn't even care because we knew no way in hell is a Republican going to win a seat. Especially since all of us are from New Jersey, North Jersey, next to New York, next to the liberal mecca of liberal meccas. Pride is taken there every day. Freaking AOC's from there. She's whatever her position is, which I won't get into detail because honestly, I don't want to sound like a dumbass. But hey, you'll call me out as a dumbass here and there. I'm not gonna lie. I should have looked up over that. But anyways, you have people like that. You have liberals. You have people that are pro Democratic views. I mean, last year you could just tell they passed a third trimester abortion act, and that's wild in itself. But let's get back to the main topic itself. 2016, we're seeing this guy just talk down upon things that we all agree with. Take the money away from the rich, give it to the poor, give it to my amigos, give it to everybody. Immigrants are friends, they're not the enemy. And this is sounding amazing to the point that we didn't even analyze or even have the idea of what democratic socialism is. And this is where I come in. As a young lad in Union City, New Jersey, I had no clue what socialism was. I had no idea what Cuba was. I ignored it, as any other kid that has a decent social life would. So I never had an idea that both my parents escaped El Salvador because of the Civil War, because of socialism, because of corruption in the government. They had to leave their hometowns. My mom had money. Her family side had a lot of money. My grandma came here because they needed a new lease on life, because over there was at the boiling point of the Cold War. USSR versus America, freedom versus communism. Well, socialism, we want socialism. And I had no clue. I was like, socialism, tax the rich, give the money to the poor. We deserve this more than anybody. Why is a CEO getting paid way more than $1 billion than a little kid that's busting his butt in 18, 19, 20 years old in college and not getting a cent or even moving forward? That's not fair. And plus, I was going to community college at that point. I looked at this dude as the savior of the masses compared to Hillary Clinton, which is just basically establishment to the 20th degree. So all my friends are supporting this dude. Everyone is supporting this dude. Bernie is winning. Bernie is going this. Bernie is doing that. But as soon as I told my dad, for the first time ever, I was like, Dad, I think I'm a socialist. He looked at me with a confusion of a million suns and told me, do you know what socialism is? And my little liberal ass was like, yeah, Dad, we're going to fight the rich and give it to the poor. And he told me, why are you saying this? You don't know anything about it. My ignorant ass was like, no, Dad, it's different. It's democratic socialism. It's not socialism. It's a whole different thing. Which is very interesting, because the term democratic socialism is what Fidel Castro said. Democratic socialism is what Venezuela said. Democratic socialism is what China said. I mean, it just ends up going downhill every single time. Look at the USSR. And my ass was like, oh, I'm going to defend the USSR because they were fighting for the people. They were in Central America. Che was in Central America. USSR was in Central America to fight for the people. To fight against capitalism. Fight against the horrible acts of capitalism. Capitalism is what I see you guys working so hard for. My parents work every day of the week, 7 days a week, 364 days a week, a year, and you could tell that those guys. It's not that they have to work. It's that they gotta work. They understand that they gotta pull their bootstraps every single day to support me, support my family. Without them, we would be nowhere. I would be in the street. I wouldn't even be here. But I didn't realize that they're doing it because they understand their responsibility as a human. Back then, what I thought was the government, the system is taking my parents away. The system itself is attacking my family and making them work. Little did I know that if my mom and dad weren't getting paid for it, they would still probably work in their own business. They'd rather do that than anything else in the world. So socialism ends up gaining traction. I end up growing out my hair, saying fuck capitalism with my iPhone, with my Beats, with my laptop, with my Xbox, saying fuck capitalism. Buying shit on sale, yada yada yada, Jordans. And then ends up happening is Bernie Sanders ends up losing that election. It was heartbreaking. It was disturbing because one of the main men himself lost. And Hillary Clinton won. And then Donald Trump is gaining traction. Is getting called a racist, a nationalist, getting called God knows what, anti-immigrant, anti-everything, But you know what was interesting? That I saw the Joe Rogan podcast and he said he's anti-establishment and Bernie Sanders is too. So that kind of opened up my eyes and thoughts for, we'll talk about that later. So, with Bernie Sanders losing and my ass still calling myself a socialist, I go to, this has happened my 2016, I think I was a freshman in college, in community college. And a lot of people were just confused. We still didn't know. And then I had a professor my sophomore year. I was like, the following semester when Bernie lost, he came, he's like, are you a socialist? Because we were talking about Cuba, we were talking about all this, we're talking about capitalism. And I was like, I don't know. I'm a democratic socialist. And he told me, oh yeah, that's what Fidel said. I was like, no, that's not what Chet, that's what Chet said. I'm like, all right, Chet's the main man. Chet's the main homeboy. I bought a freaking Che Guevara flag. Thank you very much. And then he told me until he started assassinating people left and right. My man loved to kill people. And I was like, I mean, hey, everyone has their flaw. Martin Luther King did things that weren't supported by the majority. And he was good. But then he just told me, do some research. Go into it. And my ass was like, no, I'm not going to go into it. I want to listen to the likes of right-wing media, a bunch of racist people. And then I just started going on a tangent. He told me, okay, give me your beats. I had him around my neck. He's like, okay. I gave him my beats in class. He was giving me a demonstration. Give me your phone. I was like, here's my phone. He's like, give me your notebook. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then he took my book bag. He spread it out all across the classroom, gave one thing to another person, gave another thing to another person, another thing to another person. He's like, you like that? I was like, no, but that's what you want to, they need it. I'm like, but it's mine. He told me that's what democratic socialism is. It ends up becoming communism always. There's no point in society that socialism has ever succeeded. Because you work hard for your stuff, but it's going to end up being taken away. As a sophomore in college or older freshman / sophomore, I didn't take it. I was like, okay, whatever. He's just being dramatic. That's not how it is. Then I started realizing that this other guy was rising up too, Jordan B. Peterson. And he was just spouting that socialism wrong. And I didn't like this guy. I was listening to what all the left-leaning sites were, the Young Turks, people along those ranges, and they were like, hey, socialism is just different because it has democracy in it. Democratic socialism. Then I started listening to this guy from Canada. He sounds like Kermit. I'm going to listen to this guy. I saw a video of him defending himself against a whole bunch of college kids and just having a conversation with these kids. And these kids are all left. These kids are left as hell. I mean, I thought I was left. I thought I was extreme left. I was calling myself a fucking democratic socialist. These kids were screaming at him. These kids had piercings. These kids had colored hair. And me, I just had my hair longer. It's almost just like my upper back. because I was just fight the man. I gotta be native. I gotta express my expression. I'm in teaching. I also gotta fight for the women in my teaching classes, be the white knight and all. Start learning that this guy is talking about responsibility. Talking about start looking up about life. Stop being a nihilist. Nihilism isn't gonna help you. And I was a strong nihilist too. I mean, Rick and Morty was popping. Rick and Morty actually encouraged nice nihilism, and it very openly opened my mind to this guy. That's why I started listening to Jordan Peterson, more Joe Rogan, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I started realizing that right wing isn't all that bad. Trump is winning. Trump won the election. My dad told me straight up after Trump won that night, he was scared. He was scared. My mom was scared. I was scared. We didn't know. Both my parents had their papers. Both my parents came from this country legally. During the Civil War, they had from refugees, and they didn't break any laws. I mean, thankfully, I wouldn't be here if they did. But they were talking about how we need to be careful. And this is why I think the reason why I said be careful was because Univision, which is, I mean, hopefully I don't get sued. I mean, allegedly, I would say. Allegedly, Univision was claiming that Hispanics were on number one, the threat. Little did I know is that Trump wasn't going to freaking change into a white nationalist, wasn't going to become not a Nazi Adolf Hitler himself. He wanted stronger borders. And Obama wanted the same thing. Compared to Bernie Sanders nowadays, which let me get on another tangent. Before I get on another tangent, wants open borders apparently. Even though in 2006, 2004, I think, Bernie was just spotting, we need strong borders. We need strong borders for everybody. We can't get overpopulated. I'm like, okay. I mean, all right, Trump sounds kind of racist, but he doesn't sound racist. I mean, that whole thing about El Salvador, when he was talking about MS-13, they're sending rapists, they're sending thugs, they're sending criminals, they're sending yada, yada, yada. And they literally took him out of context. I'm like, yo, this is me realizing now that I'm 2020, realizing that my man Trump isn't a racist. My man Trump isn't a bigot. My man Trump isn't any of those things that the left is claiming. So let's get back to the topic. My views is back then, 2016, I was just a Bernie Sanders nihilist supporter. Then I started reading more up about situations, started listening to more right-wing, moderate media compared to left-wing media. And it slowly opened up my viewpoints from being a Bernie bro to being just a me. Focusing on what I need. Focusing on what I need as a president. So, start realizing that PC culture itself is just spawning nonsense. The pay gap, fake. Trump being called a racist, fake. Everybody that mostly Trump is a rise of white nationalism, fake. All these things are just leading to me just realizing PC culture, and people calling me Latinx, and I'm like, wait, what's Latinx? That was my first experience with Latinx culture. I was in class and somebody, oh yeah, you're a Latinx, right? I was like, what, is that a gang? I'm not a part of any gang. I don't want to be a part of any affiliation with that. And I had a class full of women, also because I was in a teaching program, and we had to do a presentation about sociology, and we had to talk about the pay gap. And I started doing research and realizing the pay gap is fake. And I started reading, I started getting hyped up, I started watching Milo, I started watching Ben Shapiro, I started watching all these guys debunking it. Milo himself, I know he's a kind of a pedophile. Well, kind of, I think he is. Well, I know he encouraged pedophilia. And I mean, if he's honestly sorry about that, then go for it. I guess it's up to each their own on what they think. I think it's still fucking weird that he said that, but sidetracked. Let's get back to it. I did a research paper on pay gap. I had a presentation. I went up, did my presentation, gave in facts. Facts from the American Women's Organization, women working organizations, all these to prove that the pay gap is fake. And you know what ended up happening to me? My sociology teacher's like, I don't like the facts where you got these facts. I'm like, these are all facts. He's like, I think they're Fox News facts. I'm like, no, they're not. They're from organizations that are helping women. There was a girl in my class who said, why do those facts matter? And she was talking about how women are more emotional. Women tend to go into working fields that are caretakers, and I respect that. That's one of the hardest jobs. I think they should get paid more. And then she's like, "Why does that matter?" I'm like, "Cause this is why there's a pay gap. Women tend to not go in those fields. I don't know why. I mean, you could give biology reasons why, and I would agree with it, but I don't. That's off topic too. But yeah, I start talking about it. I'm like, this is why, and she's like, why do those facts matter? This is the breaking point. This is where I started realizing that the left has basically changed and brainwashed all of my peers in community college, all of my peers in high school. We were looking down upon the right, not realizing that the right is also anti-establishment. I mean, Marco Rubio is like a little something else, but those guys, what's that guy's? Not Mike Pence, the one that was running against Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is one of the worst Republicans I ever met. But I started realizing is Donald Trump and these guys are anti-establishment. Ronald Reagan, I was fed down that he was one of the worst people for minorities when I didn't know he was fighting against communism, fighting for the freedom of America, fighting for the freedom of my people in Central America, fighting against Castro and his socialist views. I didn't realize that liberalism was implanted and democratic socialism is slowly growing upon the Democrats. So I end up finishing my thing. I talk to the professor. The professor ends up calling me out. He's like, "Oh, I don't like your facts." I'm like, "Hey, these are just facts, and I'm just stating what I found, and I'm just being honest. This is why." And then I was like, "Whoever wants to agree with me, raise their hand." My friend Brian, where he was on the last podcast. He raised his hand. He was the only guy there. Only me and him and some other dude. The other dude in the front didn't care. He just was going there for the grade. You know what this guy tells me and tells him straight up? He says, "Boys will be boys." In front of a whole class of women, he just degraded us just for the genitalia that we have between our legs. He threw out the whole entire conversation of my viewpoint. If that's not sexist, then I don't know what is. The white knight himself is just trying to get good grades on rate my professor, not be an asshole, and just ruin my whole entire viewpoint instead of just trying to be non-biased, partisan, as these kids say. So, this is escalating. This is another catalyst that makes me just say, let me think about stuff more. Started doing research, started reading Machiavelli, started reading people that are Thomas Hobbes, and because of my junior year, I'm starting my junior year at my Montclair State University. Started reading, and I can't do it anymore. I can't be this Democrat, this leftist viewpoint of Democrats anymore. I can't just encourage a $15 minimum wage because I understand how that would literally kill small businesses. I can't stand open borders because this place is already full to a degree. I'm a brown kid. I'm a Latino. I am straight up El Salvadorian. I mean, if you want to say El Salvadorian, but I am straight up all these things that you would think. I have piercings. I wear Jordans. I wear all of this. And as soon as I say we need stronger borders, as soon as I say we shouldn't get rid of guns, as soon as I say abortion to a degree is pretty messed up, everyone starts just putting the hat on me. Are you a Republican? No, I'm not a Republican. No, I'm not a socialist. You know what I am? I am a liberal. I am a liberal with a small L. I am a classical liberal. I am for the people, by the people. I am for equality, equity for everyone. I am people willing to defend themselves with a pro-gun. Yes, I want people to have a gun to defend themselves. If a woman could defend themselves with a gun, I would almost guarantee it that I'd rather prefer that than her getting raped, her getting attacked. If I look at pro-cannabis, I'm pro-cannabis as a mother. I am tax it, sell it, and be responsible. If you're 21 years old, you're a man. You're there. You know what's good for your body. You know what's bad for your body. Even though I think it's gonna be a risk for kids, and whoever's kid is smoking freaking cannabis, you deserve to get a penalty. If your parents should get a penalty, somebody should get a penalty. You should That's a main issue. We gotta talk about that regulation and stuff like that. We gotta take that in consideration. But one of the topics that always comes to mind, since I guess I'm brown, and every single time immigration comes up in one of my classrooms, or everyone just looks at me, is yes, there should be laws. Yes, there should be strong borders. Yes, there should be some type of regulation for immigrants coming to this country. They should have the right paperwork. They should have the right means of going through. They can't just cross illegally. That's atrocious. Even people that are coming from flying in and overstaying their visa, that's messed up. People that are coming from Canada, hey, Canada, I love Canada, but they're going downhill. They're really going downhill. We'll talk about that as well. It's a really big topic. I'm writing a paper about that too. We gotta analyze that we can't take everybody. Even if we wanted to, we gotta do the paperwork. We gotta know who's coming in. We gotta know who's coming out. I'm very passionate because honestly, when a white dude says the things I'm saying, he's considered a racist, and I don't appreciate that. I can't let people start calling Trump supporters nihilist, or I mean not nihilist. I can't let them be called Nazis because they're not. You know what they want? They're anti-PC culture. They're anti PC culture, anti taking away guns. They want their amendments. And can I blame them? No, the government shouldn't be taking their guns away. The government shouldn't be controlling what they say. The government shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't have left society just calling them racist at any time just because they are proud of their rights and proud of their freaking patriotism. I never thought patriotism could be bad. I'm a proud American. I'm more American than I am Salvadorian. And I am 100% Salvadorian by blood. You see me, I have my Don't Tread on Me flag. I got my Betsy Ross flag. I got my Americana itself, not the OG, but the 50 stars, the red, white, and blue flag hanging. And you know what else I have? To represent that I will never go back to my ways of socialism and think that socialism is a way, is a Che Guevara flag, but backwards. To always remind me every day that socialism, communism isn't the way. You know what is the way? Working hard, tying up your bootstraps, and going. Being responsible for yourself. Do your homework. Go to work. Do what you want and strive forward. Have high morals. As my professor would tell me from my politics class, is virtue, morale. That's what we need as a country. That's what I stand for. That's what classical liberalism is. So, with the next topic, I mean, I don't want to say I'm pro-abortion, but it gets kind of scary because this is where people try to disagree with left and right. I think of it as the strong left wants abortion until 8 months, until the baby's still inside the uterus. Until then, you could kill it. It's gone. Third trimester, whatever. Second trimester, whatever. And then the right, the extreme right, which I wouldn't even, it's kind of scary too, is really scary actually, is that they're against abortion entirely. If the woman is raped, if the woman is gonna die, it's not the baby's fault. It puts you in a middle of the road stance that I have. My stance is, if you're gonna have an abortion, do it as soon as possible or don't do it at all. Which is an issue because 6 weeks into the pregnancy, that's when most women figure out that they're pregnant. 8 weeks that they're pregnant. They miss a period, they miss this, miss that. And it's already too late. The baby already has a heart, the baby already has a spinal cord growing, their brain is slowly growing too. This is where society has to take it. It's not a positive, it's not a negative. I've seen pro-Bernie supporters, pro-liberals, pro-Warren supporters say, I had 4 abortions, I had 5, I had 6, 7, 8. And I'm here like, yo, that's fucked up. You shouldn't even have more than 2 to a degree. Unless you have certain circumstances, then yes, do it. If you got raped, yes. If you're not ready for a kid and you honestly are not going to let this happen again, go for it. I'm not saying shame them. I'm not saying anything. We just, as a society, should actually be able to encourage you to be responsible with your body and try not to have an abortion. And I think that's a moderate stance. Not support it, not disagree with it, Just if it happens, it has to happen. Well, this is where everything starts concluding. We're going to talk about modern day. Hopefully, that wasn't too much of a tangent, but it was pretty interesting because I never let my thoughts out like that. Where do I stand now with the political stance? I am anti Bernie 100%. What disturbs me is Bernie supporters that are white, that have the newest iPhones, that don't know anything about socialism because their grandparents and their parents fought against communism, fought against the USSR, and were scared of the Cuban Missile Crisis. They all fought against it. So why are these kids, these white kids, are fighting for minorities they have no clue about? They're putting them in boxes. They want them to be in this box. They want them to be in that box. He's in the Lion X box. He's a homosexual box. He's also non-binary box. It's just identity politics to the 20th degree, and I can't stand that at all. Then you have the right, which is Trump right now. I try to view him as negative and as non-biased as possible, but my man is literally, the economy is at the highest point. This is 2-27-2020. Coronavirus is scaring everybody, and the economy is apparently going down the tank. So hopefully in a year from now, it isn't that bad. But Trump is fighting for us. I think he really is something that we need. He's against establishment to a degree. Could always do better. He is actually pro-gun. He doesn't want the guns taken away. And he also had a major stance with mental health issues. And he's against communism. He's against socialism. He's against AOC. He's against Bernie. He's against all those guys that want to increase taxes. They want to increase the minimum wage, which is not good at all. If you even acknowledge that higher taxes, who could pay higher taxes? My mom can't. My dad can't. You know who can? Amazon can. You know who can? Big companies can. You know who can't? Small companies. Democrats are fighting for the big companies because they're going to tax them and add taxes, add a new Green Deal. Meaning, who can afford the new green stuff? Who can afford new technology? Who can afford new batteries? Who can afford automated workers? The big companies. You know who can't afford that? Who can't make changes on the boilers? Who can't make major changes to the grills that are apparently hurting the environment? The small communities, the small companies. We can't just make an investment out of nowhere. They're killing the small American business owner by encouraging these big companies to take over. The only man who had the right view, and I will say this 110% out of 10%, even if people memed them, was Andrew Yang. $1,000 a month could have helped everybody. Could have helped small communities. Could have helped my parents. My dad and my mom getting $1,000 a month. It could have paid for a new worker. Could have got some stress off their back. Buy new merchandise. Have new people walk into their stores and buy stuff with a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month without increasing a $15 minimum wage. Increasing taxes. Well, it would increase taxes. Value added tax. And you know what? It would probably add a couple more dollars to the tax itself. You would pay a little bit more. But it's still $1,000 that could have helped every single American. Free college for all? No, he didn't want that. I didn't want that either. Why should I, a kid that went to community college, who busted their butt and paid it with financial aid, with my own money as well mixed into it, have to have the repercussions of doing that, then go to a state school, and then have to get that all wiped away, right? Because I went to community college to sacrifice for money purposes and to get my grade together. But this kid who got out of high school, went straight into Montclair State, a state school, went all 4 years, not sacrificing the fact that he went to Hudson like I did, and he's going to get a free leeway? No, that's not correct. That's not correct at all. And what about the families that don't want to, how about the kids that don't want to go to college? They want a trade school? They want to go to the army? They want to become a police officer? And entrepreneurship? They want to do that too. So we're going to let all the kids that want to go to college a free ride, basically? No, that's not fair. Taxes aren't fair. The guys that are working now are going to pay for that? No, not at all. So my personal point of view is I'm a classical liberal. And if you think I'm right, I'm not. But honestly, the whole Democratic Party is eating itself. I'm seeing it with my very own eyes right now. I'm seeing socialism be a parasite and just eating the DNC alive right now. You're left. Oh, you're not too left. You're left. Oh, you're not that left. You sound more of a Republican. Oh, I'm sorry that I sound like a Republican because I want a nation that's strong. I want a nation that wants to succeed and strive forward. I'm a strong patriot. I love my country. I want everybody here to have an equal chance or opportunity to go fight and to make their own ends meet. If that is any type of Republican, then feel free to call me a Republican. But I will criticize what's happening to the far left and the Democrats. Because me saying I'm a Democrat right now is one of the hardest things to say. Because I am all for all the statements I have said beforehand. I'm all for you guys. I want Democrats to succeed. As an Andrew Yang, as a Tulsi Gabbard, those type of Democrats, I'm 100% on board to defeat Donald Trump. But you're going to tell me you're going to have a communist, a democratic socialist fight for me? No. My parents ran from one country for freedom and their opportunity to build a business, to work hard. I'm sorry, I'm not going to let that happen again. I am not one of your pawns. I am not one of your tokens. I am not anything you need me to be. I'm a proud, brown, classical, liberal, Latino individual. And I'm not letting PC culture take over my life. I'm not letting the government take over my health. I'm not letting the government take over any more aspects that I don't need them. I need a small government. I need my government to care for me and my family only when we need them at the end of our life cycle. Until then, I am willing to tie in my shoes. I am willing to tie up my bootstraps, put on my pair of jeans, put on my shirt, and if I have to go work, I'll go work. But you know what I'm doing right now? I am fighting in college to get a degree that I don't deserve, but I am responsible for getting each and every day of the week. As you guys know, this probably was a rant. It's 36 minutes or so. I appreciate you guys if you like my podcast, if you like my voice, if you like speaking with gibberish. Don't worry, it's only bound to get better. Please give me a like. Please subscribe. And honestly, thank you for your support. And if you made it this far, just know that I'm not a Republican. I'm with you. I want us to succeed as Democrats. But it's hard as a Latino individual to have a dude who's a communist support us. No, I'm not doing that. I'd rather have somebody who is Republican and fighting for tougher boards and fighting for the people that are here. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully that wasn't too much of a tangent, but those are my political views. Easy enough to say is I'm anti-PC culture, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-cannabis, I'm pro-abortion, I am for strong immigration laws, I am all up for lower taxes, and I'm all up for the working class. People that are busting their butt every day of the week, I'm for them. And I think that's what, no, not I think, I know that's what the Democratic Party is for. Not to limit you, not to limit what you're saying, not to increase taxes, and definitely not socialism. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate your guys' thoughts and views. Have a nice day. What's up, guys? I haven't been behind the mic for a really long time. It's been about 8 months, give or take, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. You already know how it goes. So, this episode I recorded around that time when I first wanted to get this thing going. And a lot of my political views are still tied to this. Some of them have changed because obviously with everything that's been going on election-wise, pandemic-wise, and so on and so on,